Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Laura with Quilted Chicken, and we are going through our Moda Blockheads Quilt Along, Sew Along Community Development Block Party with Moda. We're on block number 13. This is called Evening Delight by Maddy of Tiori Designs. And it strikes me as one of some type of like star block that I've seen before. One of the blocks that should have a state name with it, but I'm not quite sure. They also have in the, on the pattern, this block, which makes it look totally different. So we might try this version just to kind of see what we get. We'll put the focus on kind of like offbeat. If you're like music wise, it's offbeat, so it's going to change it totally. Oh, today was one of those days. This is my third video for the day. I think literally this is what we've done all day, and it's fun, but it's a little exhausting when your brain has to work and think and talk all at the same time. I did have to plug in my phone to keep it charged up. I don't know if you can tell. I did sneak in and add the binding on our Cascade quilt. It still needs to be ironed and turned under, but I'm going to do that by hand so we can do that in the evenings sometime. Let's dive right in. Let's get our colors and see what we think. Okay, so for the blockhead, for the number 13 block, we're going to do this version here. I'm going to look at these squares are 3.5. I'd love to do one of these polka dots. We could do polka dots here and in the center maybe. Let's try that. So if we have our gray here, we're going to want a gray to go on both sides of our quarter square triangles. That's similar to this tone. Too dark. Let's keep going. This might work. It's a little bit, it's got a little bit more blue in it than this, but I think that we may use this for our background. I think that would be a fun. My brain doesn't want to think about all of these fabrics. So I think these are the same. We might could use these for that contrast up in the we haven't done this in a little bit, but I'm going to lay these fabrics out to try to help visualize if we want to do the off color or if we want to keep it with the traditional kind of star look. You know what? We haven't used our polka, these dots in a while. So our B, our center is 3.5 by 3.5. Let me find, I think we're going to do this for our center. I pulled out our little fussy cut ruler from Eleanor Burns. And I'm looking through this print to see, I'm not sure if it shows up as well on the camera. There's a little daisy every so often in here. I think that we might, yeah, we'll use this as our center. So I like that. And then we'll do the offset block that as opposed to the star point, we're going to do kind of the cross here. Our real dark black is going to frame that out, and then we'll have this as to line up, and then we'll use this Riley Blake as our background. I say that I'm going to have to double check and make sure I've got enough. I have two, I think. Yeah, we've got two layer cake squares, so hopefully that should be enough. All right, so for our 9-inch finished square, we're doing this variation, and our center block B, we fussy cut our cute little daisy print. We need one square. at 3.5 square. Then for our background, our A pieces, we need 4 same size 3.5 inch squares. For D and E, we're doing the same fabric. So D you need 1, E you need 1. So we've got 2 squares at 4.25. And then to finish out our quarter square triangles, we've got 2 of our circle dot fabric at 4.25 as well. So for our quarter square triangles, we're going to take 1 of each fabric that's of our 4.25 squares, right sides together. We're going to draw a line here on both of them, so on each side, and then we're going to take them apart and flip them to get our hourglass looking block. So let's do the first step, sew it on each side and cut it apart. We're going to press our seams open on our 4 half square triangles, and then we'll put them together for the second step. So we want for it to finish out like this. So we're simply going to lay our half square triangles down, opposite colors. Make sure to match up this center seam here, and same process. We're going to draw a line across and stitch on 1/4 inch on each side. Okay, so we drew our line and we stitched on each side. You can flip them open like this to check that point in that center part right there. These were really good. Oh, that one's off a tiny bit. I think we'll be okay. On this one, I actually was off on the center, so you probably can see I just took out the 2 sections here, about 1.5 inches worth, so that I could then flip this side up, pin it where I needed to, and then stitch it again. So then we turned out pretty well. Cut these in half right down the middle on the drawn line, and these are going to get squared up to 3.5 inches. I'm going to press my seams open just to help pull down some of that bulk. The only bad thing about a clear ruler is it's hard to see it. I may get a sticker, but well, that defeats the purpose of it being a fussy cut ruler. All right, so we're going to line this up. Looks like we're pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and trim these little dog ears off. Okay, so that's all of the extracurricular prep on this. Everything else now is to just lay it out and put it together. I think I'm liking this. I think I like it. Okay. That's pretty cute. I'm gonna stick everything together and I'm gonna look up in the camera and see how it looks. Huh. That's pretty adorable. So yeah, easy peasy. With the high contrast colors that we've got, it's pretty striking. I love it. So now for the tiny one, and I did not even in my head think about checking and finding anything for that one. Now these blocks are cut at 2 inches, so they'll finish at 1.5 inches. This stripe is probably a little bit too large, but I do like this stripe. And if we do the same color layout, we can use it here and not have to worry about matching up anything else on it. I pulled this out and then I put it back because we just used it in the last block or the block before that. But I really like that. We're gonna do the star one. We're gonna use this as our background for A and D. We're gonna use this polka dot for C, the gray woven for E, and then our center block will be this stripe, the B stripe. So for our background pieces, for A, we have 4 squares cut at 2 inches. For our D, that's going to be the 4/4 square triangle, we have 1 square cut at 2 3/4. E, we have 1 square cut at 2 3/4. For C, because it's 2 pieces of our quarter square, we need 2 squares cut at 2 3/4, and then our center, our B, is cut at 2 inches. So for this one, since we have a 1/4 square triangle that is not the same, we're going to take one of our polka dots, right sides together with our plaid, our other polka dot, right side together with our lace. Same thing, we're going to draw a line, so on each side of it, and then I'll bring it back over and we can look at which way we line them up to get it to look just like the photo. So cutting our squares according to the directions at 2 3/4 will get you exactly, it will come down exactly to the 2 inch 1/4 square triangle that we need. If you find that you're having problems with it not being the right size or not being able to get your corners where you need them, you can always either sew a scant 1/4 inch, so move the needle over just maybe 1 or 2 thread widths, or you could cut your squares a little bit larger and then trim them down at the very end. We did pretty good on our 9-inch block, so I think we kept our sewing, our seam where we did last time. Again, if you're sewing with a woven, if you have any problems with the stretch on it or with it being a little softer than the cotton, just hit it with some starch. That'll give it just enough body that you can comfortably sew with it. So for this one, we want for our 2 polka dot pieces to be opposites each other. So it'll finish up like this. So I've got the polka dots opposite when I lay them face down. We're gonna make sure, we're gonna mark corner to corner on this one, so a 1/4 inch on each side as well. When we pin it together, we're gonna flip it open and pin just right in the center to make sure that we get those seams to match up. I didn't check them before I came over here, so we're gonna pull real quick and look at our points. You know what? I think these are okay. This one's a little bit off, but with it being a gray up in this corner, it's not too terribly noticeable. So I'm just going to clip our little dog ears with the scissors. I don't know that I've ever made a quarter square triangle that finishes at 1.5 inches. This is going to be so cute. To trim these down, we'll press our seams open, and then we'll check with our ruler to make sure we've got them squared to the right size. I think this looks a little scant, so we may have, although you know what, the directions on the block say to sew all of your seams a scant quarter anyways. So we may just be right on the money. Also, the weather's changing. I'm so excited. My little gourds are growing. I bought some decorative gourds last year at some point, somewhere. Hobby Lobby, Trader Joe's, Kroger, who knows. And of course we finished up, and I just went out in the back. We've got kind of a dump pile for brushes and shrubs and stuff. Just threw them in there because it, you know. And several weeks back, we were outside and something was peeking up over the top of the pile, smiling and looking at me, and whatever decorative gourd I got, it's growing. I've got probably 15 or 20 cute little, they're the green and the yellow with all the little bumpies on them. They're so adorable. Probably about the size of a grapefruit. So we'll see. I'll have fun though. I don't have to buy them this year. I can maybe go out and buy some other fun little gourd and throw it away and grow it next year. All right, so we're about 2 1/8, it looks like, so we are going to trim a little bit of this off. I'm checking. I don't have a 2-inch square, so I'm putting my 2-inch mark on the corners. And then thankfully we've got a diagonal line on this ruler. So we have our center. We have our, 4 little quarter square triangles. And then we've got our fussy cut background. Oh my gosh, I love it. So on this piece of fabric, when I opened out the yardage that I had, out fell a 2 3/4 strip that I already had. So thankfully, that was the size that we needed for our quarter square triangles. To then square down our 2-inch pieces, all I did, because it was a 2-inch square, I put my 1-inch mark in the very center of this little circle, and I cut, which then gave me an offset piece. But then I had my 1-inch edge that I needed to use, line it up on my 2-inch section, come back over and cut that square. And then I actually stacked all of these together to trim the top and bottom off so that I wasn't having to cut 4 of them separately. And the fact that they're in these opposite corners, they're not going to be right up next to each other to match up. I'm hoping that it won't throw our eye off on this piece. All right, so we're just going to get sections flipped over and stitched down. So here it is. I'm so excited. So the only thing I had a problem with on this last step is because I've got 2 grays together, it was a little difficult to see if I was catching those points right at the center. The good thing about that is if you miss them and it's difficult enough for you to see if you got them, it will be difficult for anyone else to see that as well. Getting this guy steamed up real good. We did press all of our seams open on this. Oh, guys. I love it. I like that little bit of brown there in the center, and these grays are different enough. There's a little bit more blue in this one that you can, I say that, yeah, that you can still see the difference in those. So cute. So cute. So that was it. That was our Block 13 Evening Delight from Debbie Maddy. We did, in the picture, it had the colorway that you could do the star with the center, the star with kind of the points, and then almost more of a cross. We did the cross for our large one. And then we did, this would have been the center one, I guess, because of the, well, it was a mixture between. So there's our 2 Evening Delights. And it was a delight. And that wraps up our evening. We have spent all day stitching and sewing. We got 3 sets of blocks finished. So these were all 3. Number 12, number 13, and then our bonus block number 6. Were very, very doable in an afternoon. So if you put the kids down for a nap, if the husband has gone fishing for the morning, you have got plenty of time to get a couple of blocks done. So join us next time. Happy sewing, guys. Have a good one.